Hi, I'm Andy, aka Googleman, and this is my Google Calendar Top 5.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
Hey, googleman.
Hi again everyone, welcome back to aka Googleman. If you haven't done so already, please click subscribe and the notification bell below. Google Calendar will be something that is no doubt familiar to anyone that's been using G Suite for any amount of time. It is the primary way that we organise ourselves, and if you are part of the G Suite for Education family, then your school will probably be using Calendar for all of its set events. However, for us individually, there are 5 things that I think we should be trying to do and think about using to make our lives easier when organising ourselves, and also to help other people know what we are up to. If that sounds good to you, let's jump straight in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is about creating your own calendar. Now, as standard, we get our own personal calendars generally, especially if you're in a managed place like a school. So you'll have your own calendar where you can put your own meetings and things, and you will also have your school's calendar probably available to you on there as well. But what if you want to create one for yourself that perhaps is just for your benefit? Okay. What I'm going to do is show you how to create one of those now, and I'm going to create one for my timetable. And normally I'd actually put my timetable on my own personal calendar, because then it's available to people when they look at my calendar, so you can see if I'm available, which we'll talk about later on. But for now, I'm going to call it timetable. So over on the left hand side of my screen here, as you can see, I have the list of calendars I have available, and obviously aka Googleman, that is me. It's my personal calendar. Obviously when I'm working at school, it's Andy Williams. Okay, now I'm going to add a calendar to that part of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the plus arrow here, which is add other calendars. And what I can do here is, if your school calendar needs to be subscribed to, or if another institution or another person wants you to subscribe to their calendar, you can do that. However, I'm going to create a new calendar myself. It gives me this screen, and I can just give it a name. I'm just going to call it timetable. If you want to give it an extra description, you can. I don't need to do that here. And I'm going to click on create calendar. What this does is that you will then be able to create events, link it direct to that calendar, and it will color code things for you automatically. So if you actually look on the left hand side now that is created, each of the calendars here has a color attached to it, and you can change the colors of those as needed, and it will be color coded to that calendar. So depending on what you're doing, whether you want to, if it's a personal event, perhaps that happens outside of your working hours, you might create a calendar for that, but you can see it in the larger context of your working week. And that might be really, really useful to you. So that's creating your very own calendar. Okay, and then tying into that last one where I created a calendar just for my timetable, we need to be able to create a repeating or recurring event. Now, we talked about recurring tasks in the last video, which I will link for you above and below. But we can do that with other events in our calendar as well, because let's face it, lessons will happen every week. Okay, so lessons on my timetable will happen on a regular basis. Now, for me and my school, we have a 1 week timetable. Other schools have 2 week timetables and things like that. So I'm just going to show you really, really quickly how to do that. It's very, very simple. So I'm just going to come to a point, let's say, as of the 1st of September, I have a lesson. Obviously, I don't. But let's say that I do. I click in that space, and it will give me the option to create this. I'm going to go into more options here. It's always worthwhile. I will say, when you're creating it, I know most people know how to create an event on a calendar. I would always say go into more options, because it literally gives you more options. It gives you more things to be able to work with. So I'm going to give this one a title. We'll just call it Year 7 Music. I'm a music teacher at the end of the day. And it's from 9 until 10. What I will then do is I will come down to doesn't repeat, do the drop down, and I can say it will repeat daily, on the same day every week, You can do it monthly on the first Tuesday or anything like that. It doesn't give you an option here for every other week. So if you are running on a 2-week timetable where your lessons change, this is where you might need to make a slight addition. I would just go weekly on a Tuesday because I have a 1-week timetable. However, if you are not in that situation, if you come down to custom, you can then change it to repeat every 2 weeks, and you can select the day, and obviously we can leave it as a Tuesday. What you can also do in this bit, and this is particularly useful, so for me as a music teacher, once things start getting back to normal, I'll be looking at doing school productions and doing concerts and things like that. So rehearsals for these things will appear on my calendar, so I know that they exist. But I don't want them to be perpetual. I want them to stop. So either you can select it so it never ends. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay, and you can delete things from your calendar manually afterwards. You can say that it will end on a particular date. So if I'm running rehearsals from the 1st of September to the 1st of December, after the 1st of December, that item will no longer appear on my calendar, or you can decide that there are going to be 12 occurrences. So this is the kind of thing where if you are running a 12-week course, for example, and it's running 12 weeks straight, you would set 12 occurrences of that on your calendar, and then it would stop after that. And depending on your school timetable, I'm just going to cancel that because I don't need it, because I'm just going to set it to weekly on a Tuesday. So for me personally, what I tend to do is, because we run on a weekly timetable, I set it for every Tuesday and I don't set an end date to it necessarily. What I will do though is for school holidays, I will go in and I'll actually delete the events for that particular week manually, okay, because it allows me to look at my time, and actually it's a really good feeling to get rid of things that are happening on in your calendar, doing it yourself rather than it happening automatically. There's a very cathartic feel to that. If you were going to set an end date, maybe set it for July and do that. Otherwise, every time you start a new half term, you're having to re-input your calendar. 2-week timetables can be a little more complicated, because if you've got an odd number of weeks in a half term, and then you take a week off for the 1 week half term break, you're coming back on the following week, so everything comes out of whack. So you have to kind of do that anyway. But this is still a great way to save you that little bit of time. All I then need to do is click on save, and that then appears on my calendar. And just as if to prove a point, if I click forward a week, you will see that Year 7 music appears on that and every other week on there as well. So that's creating a recurring event in calendar. Okay, so the era of COVID-19 has meant that video meetings have now become the norm, and that is set, I think, to continue certainly at least until Christmas, if not beyond. And in Google Calendar, there is a nice, quick and easy way of making a virtual meeting using Google Meet. So I'm just going to show you really quickly how to do that. It is very, very simple. I'm just going to choose a random time for this one. Same thing as before, you click into there. Okay, it gives you that option, and you can add Google Meet video conferencing in there. I wouldn't do it yet, because actually you don't have to do it here. I'm going to go into more options just like I did before, and I get given my menu. And what I'm then going to do is add guests. I'm just going to add my real self into that meeting. And what that automatically does is generate a Google Meet link and set up for you. And then when you send that invitation to everybody in your guest list, they will be sent the link to that meeting. It will also appear on their calendar. Okay, really, really simple way of doing it. Again, you can add a repeat if it's a recurring meeting. You might call it a team meeting if it's something that you're scheduling yourself. I know it's something I will certainly be doing. When we go back in September, you could add a notification to that, so you will get that appear on your screen. You can actually get it as an email instead. So if you need a reminder by email, so if you're one of those people that checks emails when you should be in a meeting, set that to remind you to go. And of course, like I said, you could change that calendar. So if it's a personal meeting and you are inviting people from outside of school to this, or it's outside of school time, you can do that in here as well. What you can also able to do in the description, if you wanted to put the agenda in there as well for that particular meeting, again, the participants will be able to see that when they look at your invitation and when they look at the event on their calendar. Okay, Next thing that you definitely should be doing is putting locations into a meeting that you're holding. So if this is a meeting that is not a video meeting, it's not going to be virtual, you are going somewhere or someone is coming to you, okay? You've invited those people, they've put in the Google Meet link, I'm going to get rid of that. What I am going to do instead is give a location to this meeting. You can add the location if you go into more options when you're creating that event. Click in it and put in as much detail for the location as you can. Okay, if you're on the same site as somebody, you can just put a room number or something in here. However, if you are going somewhere else or you've got someone coming into school for you and they don't necessarily know where you are, give a full address in here. So I'm going to go with a full address in here. Obviously it searches it for me. We've got two sites. So let's say that the meeting is on our Dean's Hanger campus, okay, and the other person's coming from North. They need to be told that they're coming from our Road campus, okay. I'll click on that, and what that then does, and this is a magical thing, if you're anything like me, you use your phone as a sat-nav, okay? I have Google Maps on my phone, and if I've then got the calendar on my phone as well, which at the moment I don't have that, but I quite often do, I would be able to see that address in the calendar event, and I can then map it with Google Maps. It might be that they can look at it on the computer as well and see their journey, their route that they need to take to get to you, and they can decide whether they transfer it to their phone, whether they print it, whether they email it, whatever they're going to do. But it means that anybody can find your meeting really, really quickly without you having to spend extra time giving extra directions. Incredibly useful. Okay, so this time we're going to talk about making your availability known. Now, depending on your role within the school, you may be someone that is in great demand for meetings, particularly, say, members of the leadership team. You know, you might have staff that want to see you on a regular basis, and they will be emailing, say, you, or they might email your PA, or if you're a head of year or something, you'll have lots of people emailing you to make an appointment to see you. And it is far easier if you know your available slots in advance, and if you can tell them what your available slots are in advance as well. And that is what you can do with Google Calendar. So let's say, for argument's sake, that I am free for 1 hour between 11 and 12 on the 1st of September. Okay, it's not true, but let's pretend that it is. What I'm going to do here is I am going to click on the calendar to create an event, the same as I have done before, and I'll get my little pop-up. Okay. Now, if this is something that is recurring, you can go into more options. But actually, this is one of those few occasions that, unless it is recurring, I wouldn't say necessarily go into there. I don't believe that's necessary here, because unless you have exactly the same slots every week, then you don't need to make it recurring. And the way our work lives happen, it doesn't always work out that way. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of leaving it as an event, I'm going to put it as an appointment slot. Now, this then tells me that it's 1st September, 11 till 12. And what I can do, slots with duration is what I'm going for. There are other options in there. You can make it one big single slot for that hour. But I'm going to have little slots that are 15 minutes long each. Okay. Now, what that means is that there are now 4 available slots in that hour. Now, it might be that you want to make them 30 minutes, so there's only 2. You might want to make it one big one. It's up to you. Okay. And then I will click on save. That then appears in my calendar. Okay. I haven't given it a title. Perhaps you would just put, I will go in and I will edit that because I want people to know that these are times that I am available. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to call it available. Not typing. Let's try that again. There we go. There we go. It's worked this time. Everything's fine. I've changed the name to available. I'll just click on save. And again, that's now will change on my calendar. When people then search your calendar, because over on this side here, you can search for people. Okay, so if you are looking to find somebody's appointment slots, okay, you can search for them, and this will appear on their calendar as an available slot. My view here that I get in my own calendar will be pretty much the same. You click on that event and then you go to appointments page for this calendar. So I'll click into there and I will then have this window appear before me. I jump forward to the date that I'm after. There we go. So I'm now on the 1st of September, and you can see there are 4 available slots at that time, in that hour. I'll just click on one of those. You can change the name of your particular slot, because at the moment they're all just called available. So I'm just going to call this a Google chat, where your office, and if I want to give any more detail, then I can do. Name's already filled in there for you, and you click on save. Okay, and what then happens with that is you get this little notification. You will then get an email, both to yourself as the person that's booked it and to the person you're booking it with as a meeting invitation. Okay, and you can confirm to each other that you're going to be at that meeting. What I'll then do is if I pop back to my calendar, and what you'll see here is that just on there, I've got Google Chat now appears at 11 a.m. till 11:15. Okay, and I can decide whether I'm going to RSVP to that, and I can do that in the email afterwards. This could be a massive time saver for a lot of people. Last but not least then is setting your working hours. Now, depending on your organization, depending on your role, this may well be not overly useful to you. Part-time people, this will be incredibly useful to set your working hours. So the process is really quite simple. Up in the top of your calendar, you've got a little settings cog. Click into there and go to settings. Once it works its way in, it's taking its time doing today, you can come down the left-hand side here and click on working hours, or you could just scroll down. Now, mine are not enabled at the moment. So what happens is you click on enable working hours, and then it automatically sets everything to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week. Okay. Now, what you are able to then do are remove days and times where you don't work. So let's say that you will work from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. Okay. What you'll do here is you'll change your time on one day. So it's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then copy time to all. Okay. And then it will change your times on all of the other days. Now, you could make them individual for particular days. So if you know you're going to work longer, say on a Thursday, you will change your working hours to reflect that. And you can do that individually. What you're then able to do is, I don't work on, say, Saturday or a Sunday, so it won't within the school. I might choose to do work myself, but I won't be going to meetings necessarily on those days. And if you are a part-time worker, you might also not work on, say, a Thursday or a Friday, and you can turn those particular days off. Now, when people then click on your calendar, so they will search your calendar and they will be able to see that any time where you are not working is grayed out. Okay. What this does is it will automatically decline meetings that you are invited to outside of your working hours. Okay, so that people know that you are not working. Obviously, there will be circumstances like parents' evenings where your working hours do change, and perhaps you will kind of manually change your working hours to reflect that. If you know you've got a week coming up and you're going to have people coming in, and this does not impact things that appear on your school calendar. So actually, the parents' evening will still stay there. Okay, and it allows you to tell people that I will not be working on these days, or I'm not available for meetings on those days. So this could be particularly helpful if you are a part-time member of staff and your leadership team or your head of faculty or whatever wants to organize a meeting where everyone has to be there. They have to be available for it, and they can look at your calendar and say, all right, they're not going to be available to me on this day. I need to choose from these days if I want them to be at that meeting. Okay. Again, this will be very personal to you. I don't use the working hours on Google Calendar personally because I feel like it rolls within the school with all the additional things that we do actually do. It doesn't fit in with this very rigid 9-to-5 lifestyle that some office workers are able to do. But if you are an office worker and you want to set these working hours so you don't get bombarded with meeting requests outside of your normal day, this is something for you. Okay, so that is my look at the top 5 things to do in Google Calendar. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up down below and don't forget to click subscribe. I'm going to leave it there for today because this has already been quite a long video. I'll see you all on Thursday where we'll be talking about some of the best ways to use Gmail to process our emails. Stay safe, stay well, Googleman out.